this exercise, we are to open the grading, analysis, and labeling beyond drawing file, which I have open. And our overall goal is to refine the design. And if you recall from a few exercises ago, we're a little bit out of balance with our cut and fill. So we're going to adjust the road profiles and rebuild the corridor to try to improve that. Now when we do that, it's going to knock some things out of whack. It's going to make some slopes steeper than they should be. So we're going to need to change the surface style so that we can see their slope ranges again and possibly perform the analysis again. Also, we're going to use some slope labels to make sure that we're meeting the slope requirements that we have. We may find that we need to adjust the building pads up and down to adjust those slopes. So, as is usually the case, these types of designs are iterative. You run them through once. You can't think of everything the first time, so you make your best guess. You find some things that are issues, like right now we have an issue with cut and fill. And we're going to address that, but usually when you address one issue, you may cause a few others, and you address those, and it's kind of cyclical in how you handle it. So let's take another look at the volumes and just kind of see where we're at. I'm going to open the volumes dashboard, and I'll add a volume surface. I'll just call it volume. Not very creative, but it works. And for my base surface, that's going to be EG. And my comparison surface will be FG final. Now I want to include here that I'm not taking into account the pavement depth, the existence of maybe unsuitable soil. There's a lot more that goes into doing a truly accurate cut fill analysis than just EG versus FG. So make sure when you're doing those kinds of analyses that you're working with someone experienced that's going to help you think of all that stuff. The EG versus FG is only one part of a true cut fill analysis. It's the part that Civil 3D can do. So we'll click OK, and we see that our cut is around 14,500 yards, and our fill is 90,500 yards. So you can see by the net graph, the red spot's a lot smaller than the green. We need to get our red and green about the same size. So we have too much fill. Our roads are sitting too high up above the existing ground. If we were to build this project right now, we would have to haul in about 75,000 yards of earth to do that, and that's expensive. We don't want to have to do that. So what we'll do now is we'll go into the profiles and see where we can make some adjustments to maybe bring the road down more into a cut situation. So here I see where we're really in a big fill in this valley. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that down. Now I may be causing issues with storm. I may be causing issues with how far I am above the existing stream. I may be causing a flooding situation. So please realize that you can't just, without thinking about it or without covering all your bases, go in and start making massive design changes like this. The software will let you make these kinds of changes and will respond to them very well and very quickly, but it doesn't mean that just because it's easy doesn't mean you should do it without putting a whole lot of thought into it. So same thing here. I'm going to pull the profile down for Madison Lane. Try to get it into more of a cut situation. And my pipes are making some sort of attempt to repair themselves, but it looks like I've got some more work to do there. For this purposes of this exercise, we're just focusing on the corridor and the grading. Alright, so I've made some pretty drastic adjustments, and I did do them very haphazardly and very inaccurately. I want to point that out, but for the purposes of our exercise, it's okay. I'm going to rebuild my corridor, and that's going to rebuild a big portion of the surfaces. That corridor surface is pasted into the overall FG surface that I have. It's also driving those, if you remember those red feature lines from last chapter, it's driving the elevations along the fronts of the lots. And if I come up here to my surfaces, I should see possibly some surfaces that are out of date. I'm going to rebuild FG final just to be safe, because I didn't really see a whole lot of change there. Of course, a lot of my change is down in this area where we're in this low area, and it looks like I do have some very steep areas here that I'll need to address. But let's check out the volume. So I'm going to click on my volume, refresh it. Notice it says it's out of date. So I'm a little better than I was before, but really not a whole lot. I'm at 73,000, almost 74,000 fill, and 49,000. Oh, my net is here. So 24,000 and 73,000. My net is still 50. So I went from 75 to 50. That's a little better. I could keep working on it. Perhaps some of the other adjustments I'm going to make will make that a little better. But that's good for a first try and to demonstrate what we're trying to do here. So the next thing I want to do is, I know I've done some damage with slopes here. I'm just by looking at the contours, I can tell that I've got some really steep slopes. So I'm going to go and change the style of this surface to display elevation banding 2D. I'm going to go to my analysis tab, and actually I don't want elevation banding, I want slope banding 2D. Go to my analysis tab and check the slopes, and I'm going to need to run that analysis again. So I'll break it down into 3 ranges. My first range will be from 0 to 2, and we'll make that range orange. From 2 to 10, those are kind of good slopes, we'll make those green. And then from 10, actually I should have done 4 ranges. 10 to 34, that takes me from 10% up to 3 to 1. Those are good too. Let's make that color too. I know I'm not matching the colors I had before. What we're really interested in, and I should have done this in 4 ranges, so let me do that. 0 to 2, we'll say that's yellow. That's almost too flat. 2 to 10 is good. We'll say that's green. 10 to 34 is getting kind of steep but still stable. We'll call that orange, which is color 30 is a nice orange. And then anything above 34%, which is 3 to 1, we're going to make that red. So let's see what we get. And as I expected, we've got a lot of red in the drawing. And we need to be careful too that we need to have green out here where the driveways would be. So I can tell right away that we've got a problem in these lots down here. So I'm going to change the display order, send this to the back so I can see the feature lines a little better. And I can see wherever I have red, I need to make some adjustments. I have some red down here as well. So let me pick this lot because it's got a lot of red. And I'm going to select that building pad feature line. I'm going to use the raise lower command, and it's really kind of trial and error here. I'm going to guess that I need about 5 feet to lower this down to get the elevations that I want. And the bummer about this is, and this is different from the last release, is after I make each adjustment, I have to rerun the analysis. So I have to go to Surface Properties, under Slopes, and you'll notice that all my analysis data is gone. So I'll have to do 4 ranges again and write them out: 0 to 2, 2 to 10, 10 to 34, and so on. So it almost is better to maybe just do 2 ranges to start. Do 2, 3, and just take care of the red areas. And I'll show you how to do that next time through. But actually I'm in pretty good shape. Green and a little bit of yellow. 5 was a good guess. So I'm going to take these two guys and drop them down 5 feet as well. Must have some other things selected. There we go. Raise lower, -5. Raise lower, -5 again. So here's what I was talking about earlier about rerunning the analysis. Instead of doing all 4 ranges, I think this time I'll just do 2 ranges. One range will be 0 to 34, the other range will be 34 to the max, and we'll just make this green and red. It'll let me run through it a little more quickly. And I've still got a little bit of red on this one, so I'll lower it down a little more, and I'm going to guess a foot because it's just a little bit. And unfortunately, again, we need to run that analysis. And I'm hoping Autodesk changes that so it doesn't behave that way anymore. So I just lowered the feature line. I need to do the analysis again. And I'll do the same way as last time. I'll just do 2 ranges. 0 to 34, 34 to max, 3 and 2. Good. I'm all in the green down here. So with that little bit of adjustment, I think that's going to help my cut fill just a little bit. Looks like I'm still about, I think I went from 49 down to 44. So by adjusting just 3 lots, I actually helped out my cut and fill quite a bit with only 3 lots of adjustment. So I would continue to perform my analysis. It doesn't look like I have any red areas anymore. So I would want to go through and make sure that the areas where I have driveways are not too steep. So run my analysis again, and I'll do slopes. I'll do 2 of them, and now I don't want anything. Actually, I'm going to do 3 ranges. So I don't want anything less than 2%. So I'm going to make 0 to 2. I'll make that an orange range. Color 30. 2 to 10 is good. That's my green range. And then 10 to the max, we're going to say, is red. Alright, now I'm going to see a lot of red this time, but what I'm interested in is where I see red between the house, between the building pad and the driveway. That means it's 10% or steeper, and that's too steep. I can't do a driveway that's 12% or 15%. Now in some of these I've got a little swath of green, which is okay, but like here I could put a driveway on this half of the lot and probably get away with it. Or here I can put the driveway in this location. But this guy, he needs to be fixed. So I'll click on that feature line, and I don't think I'm going to need the whole 5 feet, maybe 2 feet. Actually, I picked the wrong tool. I need just raise lower, not by reference point. That's this raise lower. Let's see if 2 feet does it for lot 38. Rerun my analysis, and this time I'll just do 2. I'll do 0 to 10, and then 10 to max. 0 to 10 will be green. Green is good. Everything else will be red. Red is bad. And we've got a little bit of green, but it looks like 2 feet wasn't quite enough. So I would go down maybe another foot, try to get enough green in the front of this building pad where I knew I had enough area of acceptable slope to build a driveway. Continue working my way through. When I get all the lots done, I'll check the volume again and see if I'm closer to balance. I can tell you though, what I would do right off the bat is I think I would drop the profiles down more, because I don't feel like I'm going to get another 50,000 yards worth of cut out of just adjusting these lots. I could be wrong, but my gut tells me that I need to bring those roads down a little bit more. So I would probably do that first, maybe try to get another 20,000 yards out of dropping the profiles of the road. Then after I did that, I would go back through and adjust the lots, get the building pads lowered down so I don't have any excessive slopes, and then eventually everything would be working properly. The lots would not have slope problems. I'd have closer balance with cut and fill, and my roads would be good as well. It's definitely an iterative process. It's a lengthy and complicated process, but that's design. One thing I almost forgot is that we are supposed to provide slope labels on the fronts of the driveways. So, or on the front yard areas, so to show that we have enough acceptable slope for a driveway. So that's pretty simple. I'm just going to go to the Annotate tab and say Add Labels. It's going to be a surface label, slope, and I'll just use the default, which is %. I'll click Add, select my surface, and I'm going to do a 2-point label because I want to show the slope from the house to the front yard. So I'm going to do a slope like this. And you can see that one reads 2.8%. I can copy that. See, I've got some other ones there from an earlier exercise. And if I drop one on the red here, change the direction of it, and you can see why it's red, because it's at 21.8%. So if you were to build a driveway on that, it would be a pretty fun driveway to navigate. And the labels are actually a pretty good idea because I don't need to run the analysis each time. With last year's version of the software, the analysis was great because I could I could lower and raise a bunch of building pads and run the analysis and find all the areas that were red versus green, etc. But now with that change, the labels might be our better bet here. So for example, I could select this building pad, raise lower, try -5, and my label is going to reflect the change in slope immediately. You can see I've got -2.5, which is pretty good. It's pretty acceptable. I'll do the same thing here. Raise lower. I'll try -5 again. Now I'm getting a slope of 11.16. Not going to be good enough, so I need to go a little further down. Let me try another 3 feet. 3% is pretty good. So looking at that now, I think the label is a better option than the analysis because you don't have to keep rerunning it every time you make an adjustment. So try that out as well using the labels.